Lance Zierlein said something on the Establish the Run podcast and probably on the bench as well, but it's a tweet that went viral. Lance, of course, at the bench right here, ESPN 97.5 and 92.5 mornings, 7 to 10. He spoke about an interesting element about the Texans in that number 2 spot. Said Lance, the wild card now, the rumors are, the wife, Hannah McNairs, is more involved, which I don't think is a bad thing. They are more involved now. Pause. 1, they are more involved now. 2, I don't think it's a bad thing either. I think it's great. I think Hannah's sharp. Anyway, this quote continues. Now, does this extend into getting their hands in a place where Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans are running things? I don't know if they would do that. I've heard the building is split on C.J. Stroud. It's not like there's no Stroud juice there. There absolutely is. So I wonder about this. I think that Hannah and probably others in the Texans organization, but specifically Hannah, instead of what the old Texans used to do, where they really just ignored feedback from anybody, I think that Hannah has encouraged Cal to be more open to said feedback. And it also could be Cal's credit for being in a more expansive role after the passing of his father with the Texans right now. But it does seem like Hannah has some additional input too. Is it possible that Hannah realizes if the Texans go through the first round without drafting a quarterback, that the fan base is going to take this very poorly? And I wonder if there's some pressure on Nick Caserio. And you want to put some tinfoil hattage on. Are these weird rumors about Nick Caserio potentially leaving maybe linked to some pressure by ownership to take a quarterback at 2, regardless of the quarterback? Could that lead to Nick Caserio leaving? And yes, keep your tinfoil hats firmly on here, because this is not based off of anything. But I will say, as someone who was in Seattle constantly laughing at Mike Florio's reporting on a supposedly frustrated Russell Wilson who was forcing his way out of town, and some of the rhetoric that was said by Pete Carroll, John Schneider, we're not getting rid of him. Florio kept speculating and ended up being right based off of the idea that Russell Wilson would force his way out of town eventually. It was just a matter of time. So I sneered at a lot of those reports. He had something on Pro Football Talk yesterday. On Monday, Texans GM Nick Caserio said he's not leaving the team, but he also made it clear that he's not the only one with a say in the matter. Until ownership speaks on the issue, it's not over. So it's interesting to read that. Because first off, damn it, Florio. Damn it. But second, why would ownership maybe not be sold on Caserio? I'm sold on that idea because it felt to me like they were trying to send Nick a message that he wasn't being collaborative enough when they made him go up there for those 30 minutes after Lovie Smith had been canned as head coach of the team. So Caserio, this piece continues, it's speculated that he would return to the Patriots since Coach Bill Belichick is in get band back together mode. We're told it's unlikely that Caserio would end up back in New England, and for now, we'll see what happens after the draft. Caserio said he's not leaving, but also added this: there's never really been any substantive discussions of the sort. And Florio, peak Florio, with his tinfoil hat on, said that implies a few things. It suggests that the topic has come up on some form or fashion. When it comes to whether a guy is leaving, the effort to shout it down needs to be unequivocal. That's never really been any substantive discussions of the sort, is not that. So interesting to see that. I suppose this is something we can keep an eye on with our cute little tin foil hats. I'm of the belief that ownership should stand back when it comes to a personnel grouping, personnel decision makers. Stay away from telling them what to do. But I kind of get why this would be maybe something the McNairs make an exception about. I wouldn't blame them, because there will be no buzz for this team going into next year if they do not draft a quarterback early. None. No one will care. You know it. I know it. I think most listeners know it. Yes, some people will go to the games. Yes, you'll watch on every Sunday if you are a Texans fan. But is that going to bring people back who are entirely checked out? It's not. It's a fact.
Yeah, and at some point, if I was Hannah or Cal, I would talk to Caserio and be like, so at what point do we want to at least start to answer the question of who our franchise quarterback is? Because at this point, it would have been, I guess he drafted Davis Mills, but that's not really so we're going 3 off seasons now if they don't draft a quarterback, number one, where we're just like punting on even just drafting a guy to see if he's the franchise guy, not actually getting a franchise guy. I'm just
not even
wanting,
trying.
I just want the, well, maybe this guy. They're just absolutely like, we're just punting on the quarterback position.
It's not a way to build an organization. I'm going to keep on saying that, but I get it. I do get it.
Sometimes you do need to hold your GM account. Like you want to be Robert Kraft and just have Bill have a great
Belichick
football
and Brady,
mind,
yes.
Run the entire thing for 20 years. Sometimes you need to actually hold the GM accountable of like, wait, what are we doing?
Right. Exactly.
What's the plan here?
Yeah. And look, this is a spot that you're in where ownership, I think, has to think about pandering. DeMeco Ryans is probably the coolest hire of this offseason. Some would argue that Sean Payton in Denver was the best hire. There was a little bit of fan service with that decision. Drafting a quarterback is fan service as well. You're at rock bottom. Like there's so little buzz about this team. I'm looking at the text line right now. I'm looking at the Twitch. Everyone's like, why are you talking about this team? And maybe this is just a my show exception because the other shows talk about it a lot, and maybe that conversation doesn't happen on those shows. But I think there's a chance that perhaps ownership puts pressure, extra pressure, on Nick Caserio to make that move. And maybe that's a reason that these rumors about Nick Caserio thinking about leaving are happening.